Slender Man vs. Jeff the Killer. Two horror urban legends with creepy white faces clashing together. Who will win? Give us a shout in those comments below with either hashtag Slenderman or hashtag Jeff. Hey everybody, welcome back to Versus, a series we do here on Top 10 Nerd where we take pop culture characters and throw them into the ring together to see who would win in a hypothetical battle. Today we are looking at Slender Man and Jeff the Killer, two horror characters made famous from their creepypastas. One even has a movie now. Now before we jump into this battle, we're gonna go through their origins and their abilities just to kind of gauge on, what these two creepy characters are capable of. So, let's start off by breaking down these legends in more detail, starting with their origins. Jeff the Killer, aka Jeffrey Woods, is the main focus of a creepypasta by author Game Fuel TV. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a creepypasta is, it's basically an urban legend written by someone on the internet. You can write your own creepypasta if you want, and you can submit it to a creepypasta website. Essentially, there's just libraries on libraries of legends that people have written themselves, a lot of which are scary, some of which are pretty cringeworthy. And Jeff the Killer and Slender Man's creepypastas are some of the ones that are less cringe, or at least more popular, both of which have led to their own individual stories that just kind of keep on growing in myth as they continue to spread on the internet. Now, in case you've never heard or read the creepypasta on Jeff the Killer, here's the gist of it. The story opens with a newspaper article, distinguishing that there have been a slew of murders by an unknown killer, and an interview with a young boy who survived that killer's attack. He tells of waking up one night after a bad dream to discover his window was open. That's when he spots the killer, a character with two dark eyes bordered in black, and a long, horrendous smile who tells him to go to sleep. The boy screams and he attacks, but thankfully his father appears and the killer escapes when the police arrived, the neighbors having called the police by chance. Now from there we move from the newspaper article to the account of the author, who tells of someone named Jeff, who, along with his family, moved into a new wealthy neighborhood. Shortly afterwards, Jeff and his brother Lou get mugged by some of the other neighborhood kids, and when one of them pulls out a knife, Jeff grabs hold of it and uses it against them. Jeff gets this rush of excitement from the whole scenario. The next day, the police pay his house a visit because of the fight, and because Jeff stabbed one of the kids. Lou ends up convincing the police that he was the one who beat up the boys, and the police take him away. After Lou ends up in juvie, Jeff's mother makes him go to a birthday party at one of his neighbors to try to get his mind off the whole situation. At first it doesn't seem all that bad until the kids who tried to mug them show up, this time with guns. One of the kids, the leader, whose name is Randy, stabs Jeff in the shoulder and starts kicking him on the ground. They continue to beat Jeff up, provoking him about his brother, and then something inside of Jeff snaps. He ends up beating Randy to a pulp. This results in a further struggle with the other two boys, with them setting Jeff on fire after a bottle of bleach lands on his head. Jeff passes out. When he wakes up, he's in the hospital with bandages wrapped around his face. His mother tells him that the police found out the truth about the original mugging, and that Lou has been released. When Jeff's bandages eventually come off, his face is entirely white. His lips are bright red and his hair is now singed black. Seeing the sight of his face causes Jeff to break out into uncontrollable laughter, his sanity long gone. That night, after being released from the hospital, Jeff's mother wakes up to the sound of crying. She finds Jeff in the bathroom with a knife, having carved a smile into his cheeks, and his eyes ringed in black. He tells her it hurt to laugh and now he can smile forever, and that he burnt off his eyelids so that he could see his new face forever. He then kills his mother, and then his father. Then he goes into Lou's bedroom, who wakes up to see Jeff standing over him with a knife. Jeff tells him, just go to sleep. Now other variants on the story are that acid made his face that way. Others say that if you sit down cross-legged in a room with all the lights off and say, he's in here with me 3 times while turning your head back and forth, then call out the name Jeff, he will appear. And if you compliment him, he won't hurt you. Much of Jeff's history derives from origin videos on YouTube, with his creator said to be a Newgrounds user named Killer Jeff. Although there has been a lot of controversy surrounding where the image of Jeff originates from, and turns out it's actually a teenage girl whose face has been photoshopped. Alright, so what about Slender Man? Just like Jeff the Killer, his creepypasta has a lot of variations. Perhaps the most popular one though is the one that follows a woman who wakes up at midnight and looks out the peephole of her front door after feeling an intense chill. She sees an inky blackness that seems to swirl, and after blinking, a man with inhumanly awkward long limbs, dressed in a black suit with a solid pale white face, is behind her door. As she moves away from the door in shock, she sees black inky tendrils start to swirl underneath the door. She begins to run and then slips and hits a wall, knocking herself out. The next morning, she's brought into the hospital and she's got a ton of wounds that the doctors think were self-inflicted. There are burn marks all over her body. As her sister enters the hospital room to visit her, she swears she sees a silhouette of a man through the hospital window, even though they're 3 stories high. But the Slender Man is always painted as a paranormal figure who has existed for centuries, and has appeared in other German, Dutch, and Scottish urban legends that tell of a tall man or a branch man or a dark man. Those who are his victims and don't live to tell about it have their bodies disappear entirely. Slender Man enjoys stalking people and appears to float or drift rather than walk. After an increase of popularity online, Slender Man has become more of a mainstream horror icon, with his own video game and now a feature film about him. There was also a news story a little while back about two young girls attacking their friend after they claimed that the Slender Man told them to do so. All in all, some pretty creepy stuff. Needless to say, these two creepypastas are often considered rivals in the sense of whose creepypasta is more popular. Or I guess, scarier. Alright, moving on to abilities. This part is fairly straightforward. Jeff the Killer is a serial killer. He has an overwhelming desire to murder and in his stories often manages to overpower his victims. This isn't to say that he has some sort of superhuman strength or expertise using weapons, although he is quite well acquainted to using knives. Rather, his state of adrenaline when closing in on a kill makes him unpredictable and aggressive, and therefore deadly. Considering how he altered his face and in some stories survived an acid injury, it's also safe to assume that Jeff has a high pain tolerance. Slender Man, on the other hand, has supernatural powers. As we mentioned, he doesn't walk. Rather, he floats. And in most cases, it's said that he has ink-like tentacles that he can use to walk upon, similar to Dr. Octopus, and that he has superhuman stretching like Mr. Fantastic. In his video game, he appears to be capable of teleportation. Now, when outstretching his arms to his victims, he puts them in a hypnotized trance, and many believe that he exclusively kills children or those who are youthful. Other accounts say that Slender Man has accomplices, known as Hoodie, Mask, the Rake, and the Observer. These accomplices also make appearances in the Slender Man video game. Alright, on to the fight. Now, for the sake of this battle, let's say that it occurs on a barren expanse of land. No dark forest for Slender Man to creep his way through, and no shadows for Jeff the Killer to hide in. Just these two, face to face, whatever their faces may be, taking each other on. Now, surely Jeff would try to jump on Slender Man and use his brute strength, swinging his knife, aiming to stab the thin, stocky creature in his center. But Slender Man is quick. If he can teleport, he would immediately be out of the way. If he doesn't, he could just use his tendrils to quickly spring out of Jeff's line of attack. That would give Slender the opportunity to get close to Jeff though, and if he gets his hands near him, he could easily hypnotize him and subdue him. Even if he doesn't get close, Slender has a way of completely psychologically messing with somebody's head. That being said, Jeff is so far gone mentally anyway, so would Slender's psychological tricks even work on him? And the winner? Slender Man. At the end of the day, Jeff the Killer is just a regular dude with some serious bloodlust. Slender Man has more tricks up his abnormally long sleeves that he can use to get an upper hand on Jeff, and would surely be able to murder him before Jeff could do any real damage to him. Alright, there we have it, friends. Do you guys agree with our choice of the winner? Let us know in those comments below why or why not. If you dug this video, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more Versus videos. We also have a playlist currently flashing on your screen with a bunch of Versus videos that you can check out, featuring the likes of pop culture icons and also a lot of comic book characters. In the meantime though, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.